There was this man, right?
Oh my God.
Okay, so what had happened was...
Yep, Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Faiven.
And welcome to Let's Talk About It.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. Also, we want to hear from you, so comment below during the video.
Today we are catching up on life, what's been going on with us, and how well or not so well we've been processing it all.
Yep, it sure has been a minute and you missed a lot, so let's talk about it. But first, rapid fire.
The biggest change you've noticed in yourself is?
I am more positive. How old are you? And what is something about your life currently that would be a surprise to your 20-year-old self?
I am 33.
You think?
Or 32. We're gonna go with 33. We're gonna size up. I am married to somebody that grew up in the church and that I have baby number 3 on the way. True or false? People can change for the person they love.
True. Do you think Gen Z is really aging like milk, or is that just an invention of social media headlines?
I think Gen Z looks older than their age because of the beauty trends that they are adopting, which is because of social media. If you could go back in time and tell yourself only one thing about the future, what would it be?
Invest my money starting from age 16 when I started working. I've noticed that the life goals I set now tend to be about blank.
Peace and rest. Things that I would have thought were completely boring years ago. What's something you aren't willing to change for anyone?
My values, like healthy lifestyle, food prep, fitness.
Good.
Do you think your adult friendships have gotten closer or have drifted further apart at this point in your 30s?
Anybody that's still around now, the relationships have gotten deeper. Anybody that was sometimey now has probably faded to black. What's one thing you cannot live without?
Something to look forward to. My number one priority these days is
sleep. Have you seen that meme and it says adulthood is saying, well, maybe next week things will slow down, but over and over again until you die?
Yep.
That is the era that I'm in. I feel like so much has changed. I'm trying to juggle it all, and it just kind of has forced me into a place of acceptance because resisting doesn't change the workload, and I don't know, that's just where we're at.
Yeah, same. This year has definitely been a roller coaster. Every quarter of the year has had a different vibe. Like I started the top of the year kind of sad and down from a breakup. All of 2023 was just kind of like, will they, won't they, really confusing. And I'm like, oh, why did I put up with that for so long? But 2024, I'm brand new. I got over that. Work was slow at the top of the year. Now it's like booked and busy. Also, now I'm down 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So I could not have expected that the fall and winter would look how it looks now versus the top of the year. So that's just a testament to how no matter how things are going, there's always an upside. Like, just don't give up, because I feel the best that I have ever felt.
Yeah, you can't predict the future. I feel like that's a true testament to the bad times don't last, but also neither do the good times. So really enjoy them, be in the moment. The only downside for you is you lost weight during the Ozempic era, so now you got to beat the Ozempic allegations.
First of all, I ain't got Ozempic money. If I did, I would have been snatched. You know what I mean? But no, to be honest, I've always had a very holistic life and a really healthy life. I just never was mindful of calories. Even when I go to Alex's house, she was always feeding me.
Don't go blaming me. I know where this is going.
Listen, the way she serves me the seconds, I don't need the seconds. But she let me just continue these big back activities, knowing good and well I saw myself as a tall and slender person. So here I am with body dysmorphia, pants not fitting. I'm like, oh, jeans must have shrunk in the dryer. No, you keep eating, Faiven. You keep eating too much. So
I'm glad my husband is my witness because I shared this story with him. And do you know what he said?
What he has said?
He said, "What are you talking about?" After Faiven finished a plate, she said, "What else do you got?" I didn't serve you a second plate. You helped yourself. And I always tell you to help yourself when you come, but now you're about to blame me for you helping yourself.
I'm hungry.
I accepted and loved you at any weight. That's all that matters. But I am happy for you because I can tell that you feel better. I feel like you were always confident, so I don't know if you're even more confident now.
I think I'm more confident now. I enjoy shopping now, and I used to not, because it's like, if nothing fits right or it doesn't look like the pictures or anything like the mannequin, you're like, oh dang, this is not cute. But now I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. Like, I'm feeling myself at the store, and just, it's a holistic thing. So if you work on health and fitness, you sleep better, you have more energy, and it's domino effect throughout the day. So I'm like, wow, I will say I have a full work day. I'll still wake up much earlier just to drink coffee outside on the balcony and like to tidy up and just tackle my to-do. And I sustain my energy from early in the morning all the way late at night just because of the new lifestyle now. And it wasn't like that last year or the last couple years. I think ever since COVID, when like our whole lives changed, it's just been like a decline when it came to health. And I let these outside things affect me, like a bad boss that I had, that bad relationship. But now, reading all these books like The Power of Now, The Untethered Soul, Nonviolent Communication, like all of this is part of my self-development journey, and it's been an era of growth. And so this year, 10 out of 10.
I love that for you. I think it's been a pretty great year for me too. Sometimes overwhelming because it's so much change at once, but we're getting ready to welcome a third baby, and if everything goes as planned, it will be a home birth. So I'm open to, just keeping space for whatever, because that is the nature of birth. But if I could end with a home birth, I would love that so much. Joe's terrified. He's like,
I'll never look at our bed the same.
but I'm like, you'll be fine.
You wouldn't do it in a tub?
No, home birth doesn't necessarily mean water birth.
Oh.
And I really like hot baths, but I can't scald my baby as they enter the earth. So if I have to sit around in like some lukewarm water for hours, I also don't know how the drainage process of that tub would work. And I'm sure there's a practical response. But yeah, when I just think through the logistics of that, I'm like, yeah, where are we draining that tub? Are you allowed to drain human fluids?
I don't know. So comment below if you've done a water birth specifically.
How do you drain the tub? Where do you drain the tub?
It's gonna look like a murder scene.
Maybe they have like those water vacuums that like suck things up or something. I don't know. But either way, we're not doing a water birth. We're doing a home birth in our bed, and Joe is absolutely mortified. But it's okay. He'll be fine. What else? We went to Disney as a family. I have always wanted to go as a kid, and I will never forgive my dad because kids hold on to stuff. Don't tell that child you're going to do something and go somewhere and not do it. So here I am at my big old age, still mad that we didn't get to go to Disney. I went as an adult. It's different. It's a little exhausting.
It's not fun.
Yeah, we went with a big age group. So I think if we were to do it again, we would have to divide and conquer, because obviously a 1 or 2 year old can't enjoy the same rides that my 13-year-old could. But it was cool. We did the experience. Core memories were activated for the littles. I went out of the country for a job for the first time. That was fun. I joined 2 book clubs, and I'm a little ashamed to say, I'm not an avid reader. So by the end of this year, the fact that I will have finished 2 books is phenomenal.
I was gonna ask, how do you guys keep each other accountable? Have you ever not read the chapters you're supposed to read, and you're like, oh snap, I have to fake it through club this week, or what?
Absolutely. But I mean, it's my sister, so we're just we keep it a buck, but it's like, hey, can we push it back to, or because we're reading it in German too, so we come back together and we're like, all right, what did you get out of that? And she'll say something and I'm like, all right, well, my German, I knew it was a little rusty, but that's not what I read at all. But we're trying to keep our language alive and our culture alive, because we stopped speaking German a long time ago. It's just not a cool language, so we always try to like suppress that side of who we are. But it's been fun, and I hope that I'm able to add to it and expand and all that, because 2 books is sad. 2 books a year is sad, but it's my starting point. So, yeah.
I'm reading All About Love right now, and I've been reading that for a while, the Bell Hooks book, and it shouldn't take me this long, but I joined an acting class. So every Tuesday for 3 hours, I'm in scene study class. So not only do we meet up in person in Midtown, but we also switch scene partners every 2 weeks, and we have to go find a play and pick a scene that's like 4 to 6 minutes long, memorize it, and rehearse outside of class so that when we get to class, we can put it up in front of the class and then we get feedback and everything. So brain-wise, like, when I'm reading words, I'm pretty much memorizing scenes for class. So it's been hard for me to be like, okay, when do I switch to a actual book? When do I switch to my script? I don't want to not have my lines memorized, because then that wouldn't be fair to my partner, because like they want to get something out of the class too, and it's hard to take direction when you're not memorized. So my brain is in all different places, but it's so fun. I always wanted to be productive, not just busy, not just like push papers around, but like everything I'm doing is enhancing my life somehow. So,
Weren't you taking a Spanish class not too long ago?
yeah, in the spring I took 6 weeks of Spanish. Then I took 3 months of Tigrinya. And my Eritrean people know what's up. Yeah, same thing. I no one in my family speaks Tigrinya anymore. Just my dad, because he was born in Eritrea. But the rest of us are quite American, you know? And I didn't like how that felt. And my name is Faiven Feshazian, and I can barely form a sentence in my native tongue, right?
Yeah.
So I took the class. It was amazing. We learned the whole alphabet. It's like, oh my gosh, 242 characters that are actual symbols, and each symbol has its own sound.
Okay.
And then we did a lot of stuff in the present tense, vocab lists, like a lot. There was a lot. It was a lot of work.
I'm still stuck on a 242 character alphabet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it's, I think it's like 17 different chunks of letters times 7. I could have gotten that math wrong, but like, say like the F's, it would be like fe, fu, fi, fa, fe, fi, fo. So it's like the F symbol, and then they all have slight variations. So once you learn the grouping, like the B's, like be, boo, be, ba, be, bibo. So be looks like that, and then like all the next ones might have a little thing different. So you really just need to learn the first character of each family, and then you can go from there. So anyway, I have a really good memorization like process, right? And I'm an actor too, so it wasn't that bad. And I made note cards for everything. But so now I can read because I learned the characters. So say a word has like 5 characters, I can sound it out. I mean, I sound like a child because when I'm reading, I'm like, ma. I'm like, I said the word. But so it would take me a year to read a page in Tigrinya, but still, I liked having something to do, and it just kept my brain going. Also, there is Alzheimer's on my mom's side of the family, and I'm trying to avoid that. Yeah. So do puzzles, do language classes. Like, if you want to keep your cognition 100%, you got to work on your brain.
Yeah, it's definitely more challenging to read in German because you're just like exercising a part that you haven't. So similar to you, I'm like reading out loud because I want to read and like retain and not just be sounding out words that I'm not attaching any meaning to. Luckily, my audience is Joe, so he has no idea what I'm saying or if I'm stumbling over a word. And I keep my translator open next to me because I'm reading a book about like a neuroscientist, and in my defense, I don't have the medical language in English. So when you translate that to German, I'm definitely like, huh? Oh, red blood cells. Well, why didn't he just say so, you know? But
and medical terminology words are long enough in English.
Whoa!
So in German, they're probably like...
Yeah, but it's definitely a fun, I guess, new hobby and challenge that I'm putting myself through.
Did Lily take up any new extracurriculars? I know she was doing volleyball. Does she still do that?
She's doing volleyball. She started last year. This year is her second year, and she loves it. So now we're looking into like clinics and things that we can do outside of school so that she can really go into her freshman high school year with just like a little bit more experience. I do feel very guilty. That same guilt that we have about not speaking our native language just better. She is Puerto Rican and she's also German. And I'm like, dang, I dropped the ball twice, you know. So
it's not too late. In high school, I took 4 years of Spanish and I learned a lot. And she hasn't started high school yet, right? Because she's a preteen or she's 13?
She's 13. She'll be 14 this year.
Yeah. So if she really wants to, she can take 4 years of Spanish. And then practice outside.
Yeah. She's been doing Duolingo, and she was really interested in, like, Japanese, so she was doing that a little bit. She does German a little bit. But, like, I'm not Puerto Rican, you know. I think if she did live with her dad, then maybe she would have more opportunities to speak and practice Spanish. But I've let myself off the hook for that when I'm like, listen, I can take the full blame for not teaching German, but the Spanish ain't on me. You don't get the Puerto Rican from my side, baby.
Yeah. Well, the good news is she is young, so she can do like a vision board activity that's like, okay, let me learn Spanish in school, and then when I go to college, maybe I'll play D1 volleyball, and then maybe I'll study abroad in a Spanish-speaking country. Then I can work on it there. Like, the world is literally her oyster. She can do whatever she wants. Yeah. So as long as it's something she knows she wants to do, it's gonna happen.
And you've been doing a lot of traveling this year, right?
Ooh, Chile, yes. I went to Poland for a wedding. So fun. Like, oh my gosh, I ate all the food, dancing, up until, 4 a.m. reception night. It was a 3-day event in this beautiful village. Ugh, it was so awesome. I went hiking in Denver. Hot tea.
Okay, do tell.
Hot tea. So, there was this man, right?
Oh my God.
Okay, so what had happened was... I resurfaced a 13-year-old crush. What had happened was...
Because you normally do not dip back, so this story is very...
So this didn't count as circling the block because we never dated, we never kissed, we never hooked up, but we had a crush on each other right after grad, so maybe like 22, 23 years old. We had a crush on each other, but I had a boyfriend at the time, but he and I had taken an acting class together, and there were just vibes, but I'm like, I don't cheat. I'm a good person. So I just like moved on with my life knowing that it was like a crush that was never acted upon. And then we were Instagram friends, casually would like each other's things. And then one day I discovered he was single because it's a little cringe, but he and his ex of several years posted a joint like statement, like, we shared so much of our lives, so we thought...
Does he have a big following?
No.
Because I feel like only celebrities or people with big followings announce that they are...
breaking up.
Yes.
Well, they decided to announce their breakup.
Okay.
And I saw it, and I was like, oh, okay. But then also I was like, wait a minute. Because I was single at the same time too, and I had just gotten over the guy from the year prior. And it's really hard to find people you're compatible with, especially like in the mid-30s range, because not most people, but a lot of people are married with kids or just getting divorced and have to work that out, or just life be lifing. So to find like an eligible companion who is compatible with you, it's a numbers game, right? So I was like, wow, this is a crush from back then. We're both single at the same time. So I feel like the Instagram likes kind of ramped up, and then like DM flirting, and then it just went to, why don't we just meet up on neutral ground and see if there's a vibe? And we were like, yep, let's do it. So he lives on the West Coast, I live on the East Coast. We met up in Denver for a hiking weekend. Now we booked the same hotel, but separate rooms because I'm a lady.
Yep.
And the worst case scenario would be just a good weekend with a friend. We did an escape room, we went hiking, we tried local breweries, we got some good food, we got our steps in. It was just a great weekend. But
we got our steps in.
Listen, I'm on my fitness journey, we gotta talk about them steps, okay? And then the best case scenario would be we fall in love, the chemistry is off the charts, I move to the West Coast, we get married, and the end. So it ended up being the former. we're compatible as friends, but when you're grown, you talk about what you want for the rest of your life. He didn't want kids. He's still kind of adjusting to single life after a 7-year relationship.
Understandable.
We got so close, and it was 3 days of conversations, pretty deep conversations. So I was like, oh, emotional like availability and deep conversations with a good-looking straight man is just like so swoon, right? So we talked so much that in him sharing and being honest, I learned, yeah, even if we did try to do something, I would just be another story, because he ended up telling me stories about, I went to this wedding and I hooked up with this girl.
Oh.
Then I went to Mexico and this girl kissed me on the dance floor but I didn't do it. 'Cause I think
He's still eat, pray, loving his way through the breakup.
exactly.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, good to know. And he even made a comment that was like, it sounds like you're looking for what I just got out of. And I was like, correct. But here I was just keeping an open mind, because I think I knew he was still healing, because I purposely didn't ask what his intentions were going on the trip, because I just wanted to have fun. And at the end of the day, we did get closure, because we did kiss, and we never got to kiss 13 years ago. So we kissed, went our separate ways, did not hook up or take it any further, because again, I'm a lady and you don't want me. So can you imagine flying yourself out, going 50-50 with a friend all weekend, and then like them expecting like, so like you put out? Like, I get nothing out of the situation. You're not gonna love me, you're not gonna be exclusive with me, you're not gonna marry me, like, so it's like absolutely not. But I was able to get the closure from the past and move on. And
is a friendship still in the cards moving forward, or it just kind of ended in Denver?
I think we're friendly. Like, there's nothing negative. He's not blocked or anything. He has like texted like, hey, happy fall, because where he is on the West Coast, he doesn't get all the seasons, and he dresses really well. So he's kind of jealous of like the New York style and the fashion and the layering and stuff. So we like talked about that. I was just like, yo, you would die if you saw these fits that I just saw in Soho earlier. And he's like, oh, I bet. And so stuff like that. And then that's it. So it's like there's no train of, I don't know what I'm trying to say. There's no like continuous
There's no
texting, but there's nothing negative. He's a cool guy. I wish him the best. I hope he heals. I hope he finds someone eventually when he's ready to get back in a relationship. But I'm also happy I went, because you never know. You never know, taking risks. Also, when you're grown, you can do whatever you want. And I've never been to Colorado before. So I was like, yeah, I want to go hiking in Denver. And we did it.
He was a great man, but not your man.
Correct. So what do you think your biggest realization has been so far this year?
I have found myself meditating a lot and just kind of reflecting on what kind of life it is that I'm building with my husband, for our kids. What do I really want out of it? And while I've never considered myself one of those like super bubbly people, like I don't think my baseline is just like happy, joyful. Like, I'm not like depressed or anything, but if you had to describe me in 3 words, I don't think bubbly or joyous would be like at the top of your mind, right?
That's correct.
But at the same time, like 2 things can be true at the same time. So holding space for that. Like, no, I'm not a super joyous person, but I can still actively pursue things that bring me joy, because life isn't all about like work, 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 work. So kind of like we were talking about, like I'm doing this book club and it's not attached to anything. I'm just trying to find things that I can do for me that are fun. And not to sound cliche or anything, but, grief is that teacher that we don't want. It's the visitor that shows up unannounced. And so my mom's passing really cemented the whole, life is too short, and just kind of be present, be in the moment. All those statements that kind of like make our eyes roll over. And I've just been focusing my attention on that. Like, all right, what makes me happy? What do I need to stop resisting so that I can just go with the flow and enjoy this one life that I have? And that is kind of the season that I'm straddling right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Have you read The Untethered Soul?
No, but I've heard about it. maybe from you, because you've been singing its praises. So once I get through these 2 books, I think that's going to be my third.
Yeah, you also gave me a book of essays, and I haven't been able to.
Started yet?
No, because I, again, seen study class, and I didn't finish All About Love, and I'm like, okay, at least I have a list of books like waiting for me in queue, because sometimes I find myself wishing I had something to read on the subway, and I don't know what direction to go in next. So I'm glad I have a stack that I can read.
What about you, though? What do you think your biggest realization has been just about this year so far, or about life?
That comparison is a useless tool, like just absolutely useless. You never know what's going to happen. I have some things that have happened just because I right place, right time, talk to someone who happens to know the cousin of this person, and then they need this thing done, and then now you're working on this new project. But like, you can't compare that to someone else who's also an actor and went to NYU, and then their teacher is on a project, and it's just like it's a useless function comparison, because everything is so random. So the best thing you can do is do whatever you want to do. I think vision boards are really powerful, even if you're not into the woo-woo things. It's essentially just a list of goals. You don't have to call it manifestation if you don't want to, but subconsciously it's in the back of your mind, and you're going to be working towards this goal all year. And then I'm able to look now that the year is wrapping up, of like, oh, done, 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 done. And it's because I would glance at it subconsciously every single day, and that's what I'm working on. So it would just be kind of useless to be like, okay, this is my financial goal. Why would I compare myself to Sally and Ben and everyone? They have different jobs, they have different bills, they have different lifestyles. So just focus on you. Like, where were you last year? Where do you want to be next year? And then you can make these little tweaks, and then you can be just like singing and skipping down the street like I am right now.
Yeah. I've noticed that I am so used to being somebody that worries. When I had my son, I was worried about what this 12-year age gap would do to my kids. Now that I'm about to have 2 under 2, the complete opposite end of the spectrum, I'm worried about what that's going to look like. And it's just like, dang, you worried when the age gap was too big. You worried when the age gap was too small. So I definitely think I am just kind of subconsciously like addicted to like worrying, but it's like, why? It doesn't change the situation. It just adds another layer of stress. So realizing the habits that I default to, and then just kind of going, you know what? We're not going to do that anymore. And making that decision, though, before the overwhelm hits, before you're like crying and stressed and figuring out, that's new to me. But I'm like, oh, some of my stress is self-made. Like, I don't have to carry all this. I can really shed some of this. But that's a new concept.
Girl, you would really benefit from this book, because it sounds like your soul is still tethered. You need to untether your soul. The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. See, he need to pay me, because the way I'm promoting this, I mean, it's a quick read, and it pretty much talks about how like you are separate from your emotions and stuff. So it's like, you could turn it on and off. Like, right after I read it, when everything was still fresh in my mind, I'm like, I do have more power than I think I do. Because worrying doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
And like, literally the same outcome is going to happen whether you worry or not. So after reading the book, I felt like I had the tools to just like make my decisions. I felt more powerful. Like, I remember one time I was crying. I think I was crying because it was a PMS, but I remember crying. And then I told myself, girl, you just stop crying. And I stopped.
Okay.
I just shut it off.
Okay, mind control.
I was like, oh my gosh, I have an untethered soul. Anyway, you should read the book. I'm not doing the best justice of it, but like,
I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, your feelings are valid, but they're not always right. Like, you are allowed to feel what you feel, but just because you are angry doesn't mean that that justifies you going out and slapping somebody in the face. You know, they're not always the guide that we think they are. Sometimes you just got to sit with it and then move on, or be like, get it together, girl.
Exactly. Also, you had said earlier in the rapid fire that your goals now tend to be about peace, and you want peace. And like, this is a way to achieve peace, because you can decide to not let something make you angry. Like, you're giving your power away to the thing that's making you angry. Because just imagine, like, if somebody, I don't know, leaves a cup on something and it makes a ring on your table and you're angry, like, it's just a table. Like, it's not going to change. It is what it is. So you got to go get the stuff, you got to buff it out and fix it, but it's already done. So why are you allowing something so trivial to ruin your whole day, like, when it doesn't really matter? And think of road rage and all these other things. Just relax. You don't know what's happening with that other person.
Oh, girl, pop out a toddler. They will teach you that lesson overnight. Joe had a very expensive closet when we first met, and he still does, but now he has realized that we are just not in that season of parenting. You know, when Remy was younger, it was, you know, blowouts and spit up, and Joe is very uptight about his clothes. Like, I accidentally spilled potato salad on his shoe one time, which I understand is a very messy thing, and somehow I missed the trash can, and he got so upset, you know. And then we had this little boy that taught him that lesson over and over again until he got it. Like, this is just not that season. And to your point, you just kind of realize, like, all right, we have stain remover. This can come out. These are just things. I want my kid to have sensory experiences. So if they are going to make a mess and it's not going to ruin anything permanently, then it is what it is. I want them to have a fun childhood. That is more important to me.
But it's good that Joe does have a good closet, but it is good that he realizes what's important, what's not important. It's just material things. I'm kind of the same way. I'm big into decluttering, and I've been decluttering physically and mentally too. Like, whatever is stressing me out, just let it go. Whoever's not for me, just let it go. I swear I've had more friend breakups recently than breakups with potential romantic partners.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like, a lot of us hold on to people who've been around for years just because they've been around for years. But then if you pause to be like, are they actually adding value? And you realize they're not. It is actually sad. I feel like friend breakups could be even harder than romantic ones, because you've been around for 5-6 years versus this man, I just known him for 2 months and I realize he doesn't want children. Okay, so let's just cut this here. Like, it's not that sad, because there's like plenty of options in that regard. But like a friend that knows you really well and you've gone through some things together and different life changes, that's much sadder. But when you shed dead weight, literally and figuratively, you do feel lighter and you do feel more peace. And then, especially when you do all the self-reflecting and you do all the personal development and read all those books, things just become more clear to you. And then life is happening at the same time, like serious things, like you lost your mom recently. My other really good friend lost her dad recently. So like, real stuff happens, and you see who's there for you, who's showing up, like who you can lean on, so it's much easier to see what matters, what doesn't matter, and to let go of what doesn't.
Yeah. Life just got really real last year. My sister and I, we were both pregnant at the same time with our sons. And so in the same year that we gained sons, we lost our mother. And so that duality, like, even the fact that you could hold space for both, like, wow, I had the most joyous, love-filled, expansive experience happen to me in the same year that I have experienced like a loss like no other. And I'm still sitting with that. It hasn't even been a year. And I've learned a lot just kind of by force. Everybody doesn't know how to show up for you in those situations. And I think that's okay, I guess. But I appreciate the people that have tried and that have even been like, I don't know what to say, but I am here. Because it means a lot, and you just don't forget the people that still reached out to you during a time like that. Something else that I've noticed recently that has just kind of changed compared to younger me is that I am no longer trying to impress people. I think it comes across when I'm like casting or I'm self-taping. Before, I used to be so concerned with what do they want me to say? How should I present myself? And now it's just like, this is what you're going to get. This is how I sound. This is how I look. And I'm okay with that. I also used to be overly concerned with people thinking I was a bitch. So I would try to be overly nice. But there's a difference between nice versus kind. Sometimes nice can be very inauthentic because my end goal was trying to control what people think about me, which we're not ever going to be in control, nor is it my business what somebody else thinks about me. But sometimes the kind thing to do, and you can say it with love, is be like, hey, listen, thanks for reaching out, but I'm really not interested in pursuing a friendship any further. Or,
have you ever said that?
No, but I'm making progress. Recently, somebody from my past reached out. I didn't even have their number saved, which meant that apparently they were no longer around, didn't make an impact. And so I said, who is this? Because there was another event going on at the time, and I thought maybe it was work related. Otherwise, I would not have even responded. But I said, who is this? They said their name, and I was like, and I didn't respond. I went ghost. And they were like, how are you? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you still have the same number. And I just didn't respond. And several hours went by. And then they were like, okay, well, I just wanted to check in with you. I hope your life is blessed. And I hope everything is well. And I still didn't respond. You gave me the ick years ago. Please lose my number. In that situation, I felt like no response was a response. But my first inkling was, let me have this fake small talk banter. Oh, I'm good. How you been? I don't care how you been. I don't care to tell you how I've been. And let's just keep it there,
Done and done.
Done and done.
I feel the same way. I had someone spin the block from 3 years ago. We went on a couple dates. Horrible. Not interested. And then he slid in my DMs, kind of did the same thing. Like, hey, what's going on? Are you still in New York? Blah, blah, blah. I did humor it. And then when he kept talking, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have even responded in the first place. And then I was like, okay, it wasn't that bad. I don't want to date him, but there's nothing wrong with him. And he's also in my industry. So I was like, a bunch of us are going to Jimmy Fallon's Halloween maze thing at 30 Rock if you want to come. And I sent him the link and he's like, oh yeah, I'm down. So I was like, okay, great. We're going to the 7 o'clock. So I added him to the group chat with 6 of us. Mm-hmm. And then day of, he was like, oh, actually, work is running late, so I can't make it. I'm like, I don't even think he bought a ticket. I think he just wanted to just pretend, just to get in there to keep the conversation going. So I just blocked him after that. Because I'm like, oh, I only added you to this group chat so that we can do logistics to all go to the haunted maze together. Other than that, I don't need to talk to you. You didn't want to come to the maze or whatever. And yeah, I just got a weird vibe. So I just didn't respond to the last DM, just deleted it, and then I blocked his number and I moved on with my life, and it's totally fine. I don't care. And then also, I used to not really people please or care what people think, but I had this thing where I wanted everyone to like me. I wanted to be on everyone's side. I didn't ever want people to be like, oh, I don't like her, something's a little off with her. So I feel like I was trying too hard. Mm-hmm. And so even in the acting class I'm in now, I had one scene partner where at the actual studio, you can rent out different rooms so you can rehearse privately outside of class. So, and it's $20 to rent the rooms, $30 for the larger theater if you want to rent that per hour. So you only need an hour anyway to work out kinks of a scene. So I had booked a room and I texted my scene partner that I booked the room, and she was like, great. And then we rehearsed, we did the thing. And then after class, she was like, oh, what's your Venmo? I can pay for half of the room. And I was like, oh, no, don't worry about it. And she's like, no, I insist. And I was like, no, it's fine. Totally, I got it. But I reflected on what I had said and the way I said it, and I wish I knew verbatim. Long story short, I was worried that it came across as, I have more money than you. I don't need your $10.
Not you going down the overthinking rabbit
because we had already had a conversation before. She's younger than me. And I was telling her about working freelance events in New York. And she was like, oh my gosh, I would love to do that. And I told her the rates, and it was way more than what she was making. So I was also conflating that conversation. So I went ahead and I had reached out and I was like, hey, that quick lobby exchange we had, I just wanted to clear up, I I didn't mean to be condescending, blah, blah, blah. And she didn't respond. So I'm like, oh, so maybe she did take it how I thought, oops, it came across. But former me would have tried to fix it even more, but I just let it go. I'm like, listen, I may have put my foot in my mouth about money. I tried to apologize if it was taken that way. She didn't respond. The next class, it was as if nothing happened, and I'm like, and I no longer care. I didn't have any malicious intent. But yeah, no, if you are 10 years younger than me, working a minimum wage job or something, you don't need to Venmo me $10. That's all I was trying to like pay it forward kind of. But anyway, that happened recently.
Okay.
And I was like, I gotta let go.
And I mean, and you still don't know. She easily could have been like, why is she doing the most? And then just didn't respond because she was like, this isn't even a thing. She's just in her head.
Right. But so, which is why I was like, it could have been that too. So that's why I wasn't going to press again in person at the next class. So just about the text I sent,
Right.
it's fine. It's fine. We'll survive.
So Joe and I have been together 4 years now. That sounds right. He's the numbers guy. So I feel like, that is a never-ending journey. He's the longest relationship that I've had. So marriage continues to change and challenge and stretch you. And we keep adding kids to this crazy chaos. But I like who I'm becoming. It's a little unnerving because you don't know like what you're stepping into, and it's so many changes happening at once, right? Like we're looking for a new home, and I'm just like, kind of like the comparison thing you were talking about earlier. I'm like, okay, well, according to Instagram, everybody else is an expert home buyer, and I don't know much, and so I find myself just worrying again because that's my baseline about something that when I look back is going to be such an exciting and cool time. Like, oh, you remember when we were buying our first house and when we got that bigger car? So I just am so grateful to have a partner that is willing to grow with me. They're willing to change. They're not scared. They're not too comfortable and set in their ways that they don't want to like stretch and expand. So even on our bad days, because nothing is perfect and we have a teenager who's sometimes moody, I am so grateful that I have somebody that is just willing to do the work with me.
That's beautiful. I'm glad you guys are growing together. I'm also not the same person anymore. I literally physically look different, and then my mindset is different from all of the growth that's been happening lately, and I love that for me. I feel like I even attracted like a very eligible, suitable contender for marriage recently because I'm like just exuding this different energy, and this person is very different from anyone I've ever dated before, very intentional, like talking about the future, just very mature about it. And it's exciting. It's exciting to be the best version of yourself and then also attract the best version of a partner you can attract. So I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, and the goal should be to change, as long as you're changing for you and not another person. So with that in mind, we want to hear from you. In what ways have you changed? In what ways has life challenged you? Let us know.
Yes, let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram and on TikTok. And be sure to tune in to next week's episode. Let's talk about it. What I wish I knew before dating.